you want to just quickly summarize Miami and give it look ahead to Pitt this weekend?
Well, good morning. Like I said after the Miami game, you can't turn the ball over and expect to win a game against a good team. I think they are a good team. We were disappointed with the outcome. I thought that there were some positives in the game. Our offense got back on track a little bit from the Clemson game. Still not what we would like, but it was better. And in the second half, we were much better on third down defense. So there were some positives you take, you move forward, and we're sitting here 3-2, and we've dug ourselves a little bit of a hole in the league, but we have lost to two teams that are ranked in the top 10, and both are undefeated. So a lot of football left to play. We'll see how it unfolds.
Questions for Coach? Be sure to grab a microphone.
You look at the stats, and sometimes they don't always tell the whole story, but Pitt leads the ACC in rush defense. Is that a result of playing teams that threw the ball a lot, or is that an accurate assessment?
Well, they're always pretty good in rush defense. I think there's a couple of factors. Certainly when you look at the stats, a lot of it will depend on who you've played. But the other part is that they're very aggressive on defense. They blitz a lot, stun a lot, and they create a lot of negative plays. So the way the stats are kept, that goes against your rushing offense and helps your rushing defense, and they're very good at creating negative plays.
In 2014, this game heading into Pitt came off two losses, and it kind of was the springboard for what happened this year. Is that something you bring up to the team this week, or just?
Well, I haven't talked about the game at Pitt being a springboard. We know how important it is. I did talk to the team on Monday about it in 14. We lost two games back-to-back, and a lot of people were ready to give up the ship and jump off, and we ended up winning 11 games in the Orange Bowl. So, there's still a lot of football to be played. You just got to take it one game at a time and play. I'd like for us to be playing better than we're playing, but who knows? Maybe this is the week.
Questions for Coach?
I was looking at the first drive again, the one that to open the game, and I think that it was a pitch to Diedrich that went around the right side, and it looked like, it seems like one of the plays that, like, if Ricky seems to seal his gun, it looked like he had pretty clear ceiling, and then later there was the play that got called back because of the legal block was the same sort of deal. I imagine you see those things and feel like you guys aren't that far off.
Yeah, well, you're close. But that's the nature of the beast. It's always the little things. It's like I tell our guys a lot. Little things make big things happen. And when you play the better teams, you don't get as many opportunities. So you can't squander the ones you get when you have a chance to create. It would have been big if we could have scored on that opening drive. And even with that, the toss where we got the penalty, it was a little bit behind the ball, but I don't know that you call that. It's kind of pretty hard to fault the kid for cutting a guy. He was straight on him. Wasn't like he was coming from the side. They got them on one the same way too. That was.
You talk about their Pitt's aggressive defense, and the first name that comes to mind is Price. He leads the nation in sacks and tackles for a loss. So he's a guy you really have to.
Yeah, you better know where he is, because he's a really good rusher, speed rusher. He's got several moves, and he's a guy that when they get you in definite passing situations, he's a guy that you better account for, because he's a good pass rusher.
Coach, obviously coming off a couple of losses is always difficult, but what would be one or two things that you would say really kind of stood out that you said, hey, we kind of did these well, both offense and on defense?
Well, offensively, we were able to control the ball, the clock, and the game, really. If we hadn't turned the ball over, we held the ball, possessed it pretty good. We've been pretty good in the red zone, at least with the first group. We were down there 3 times and got 3 touchdowns, and that's always a positive. We haven't had to kick many field goals. And then defensively, we've played much better in the second halves of games, especially on third down. So that's a positive. We got to find a way to take that momentum and get it from the start of the game.
More questions for Coach Johnson?
In terms of, I guess, trying to start faster, is there anything in particular you can do? I imagine that some of it just has to be the kids settling down and just relaxing and playing.
Well, I'm getting older. My memory's not that great, but if you go back to like the Vanderbilt game, we scored on the first play. That was a pretty fast start. Clemson, we missed a block on the very first play and got behind and struggled. What we've got to do is, I think 4 games in a row, we've given up opening drive for a touchdown. And, it's not like we haven't talked about it. So we've just got to go out and do it and get a stop on the, get a better start.
Yesterday you talked about Pitt having good skill players. Henderson is a guy that can do a lot of different things out there on the field. Defensively, that's a guy you're really going to have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, well, he's good. I mean, he's really good at the speed sweeps and some of the stuff that they do, and then they got the big backs. So they're very similar offensively to an option-type football team, except they do it with power and lateral. I mean, they try to keep guys out of the box by running the speed sweeps and that kind of thing, and make you account for them just like you would on the option with people having to count for the pitch, and then they pound Connors inside. So the thing that I think has gotten lost watching them on tape is their quarterback is playing at a very high level. I mean, he's taking care of the ball. He's real accurate throwing the ball. The receiver, 85, is also a really good player. He's made a ton of big plays for them. So, they're playing with a pretty high efficiency offensively.
Pitt is right now on minimum of what they've scored throughout the course of the season so far, a minimum of 36 points so far. Does any of that concern you?
Yeah, it concerns you a lot. I mean, it's like I said, they're executing at a pretty high rate offensively. They've been very efficient. And again, I keep saying it's like beating a dead horse, but when you get 20 possessions a game, it's a lot different than when you get 8. So you have to put it in perspective. They've done a really nice job. Like, for instance, in the North Carolina game, I think they held the ball 40-some minutes. They were executing, they were converting third downs, and North Carolina at the start of the game I think they ran 6 plays in the first half. Well, or first quarter, if that's the case, then you're going to get a lot of kicks at the turn, especially when the other team's going as fast as they can. So it's relative, but they've been very good offensively. I mean, they're operating at a high efficiency. They've probably played as well offensively this year as anybody we've played this year.
Do you think that plays a factor when you come off a week like this?
Sure it does. You just got to manage it. I mean, sure it does. And it's different for each player. I mean, like, you can kind of tell when it's going on. Sometimes they walk around like zombies, where they have a couple of presentations in a week or an exam or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's all part of it.